It's 27 to 6. This is Tuesday Drive. Lovely to have you tuned in this afternoon. Now, the New South Wales state government recently changed the way that money is distributed to the many art organisations around the state. Originally, 5 people decided how the millions of dollars in art funding would be spent, but that's now all changed. Instead of the big 5, which does sound like a little bit like Eurovision, there is now 82 arts leaders, along with 10 boards right across the artistic sphere, such as theatre, music, opera, museums, visual arts and dance. Now there's some big names too, including former ballerina Lucinda Dunn and ABC presenter and author Jennifer Byrne, and someone from the Shoalhaven. Ryley Gillen, who I've had the pleasure of speaking with before, is the artistic director of Illawarra on Pointe Productions, and he joins me now. Good afternoon, Ryley.
Hi, Steve. Nice to be with you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Now, look, tell me about this exciting new role that you've got.
Yeah, so look, it's definitely exciting and definitely a privilege. So I've been appointed to the Classical Music Advisory Board for Create New South Wales. Create New South Wales is one of the major funding bodies for arts in New South Wales. And essentially, like you said, they've had a shake-up of the funding process, and what they're looking to do now is each person appointed to the board is to provide strong and consistent recommendations that then go on to the minister. And then so, they're expecting us to draw on our experience to provide sound and strategic advice to the Arts Minister, Don Harwin.
So why did the government decide to shake it up a little bit? What was going on?
Well, it's peer assessment had been getting, which is what you were referring to with the 5 people, had been getting some feedback, and so they wanted to shake things up, and so now they've got a stronger focus on each area rather than... So this allows them to kind of hone in on things. So, for example, I'm on the board for classical music. There's also a contemporary music. There's theatre. There's dance. There's literacy. So they can really hone in on the speciality of each field and get a real good sense of what's happening across New South Wales and get that advice from people in those areas.
Well, there a bit of concern too, potentially, that with this big 5, that they could have been a little bit city-centric at times?
So now what we're seeing is, I think they were saying that 40% of the people that are sitting on the boards now are from regional areas. So I myself are regional, so I count. And, essentially it's good to have that across the board kind of understanding rather than just that city-centric.
Now, how did you manage to get it to score a position on this board?
Yeah, well, Create New South Wales put out a application process by which you could apply to be considered. So I applied for that, but really it came down to my experience as a performer, producer, regional arts collaborator, and artistic director of Illawarra on Pointe Productions, which is a orchestral and ballet company in Wollongong and along the south coast. So my work through all of that kind of, helped to tick the boxes, essentially.
Now, we're going to talk about that very, very soon, but I'd love to know, how does it feel that over 300 people put their hands up to be part of this board, and it was whittled down, and you were one of those people?
Look, like I said, extremely exciting and an extreme privilege. I'm very familiar with the arts organisations here along the south coast. I'm across the board with the landscape down here, and the audiences and those emerging artists. And it's, like I said, it's an incredible privilege to be considered to be placed on one of the boards. Yeah.
Now, what is it about classical music, Ryley, that gets you so excited, or that that you just particularly love?
Oh, look, it's steeped in tradition. At the same time, I enjoy crossing that border and getting more people engaged and familiar with it. A lot of people, when they hear the word classical music, they switch off. And it's about, cutting down that border and trying to get more people engaged. It's a fantastic art form. It takes a lot of dedication as a performer, and as an audience member, it's incredibly rewarding to be listening to classical music.
Well, you'll love to know that I have a little segment on Tuesday Drive called Classical Quickie, and I set a challenge for myself each week to find a classical piece that has to be 2 minutes or less which can be a challenge at times, but we often get there, and it's always nice to hear a little bit of Bach or Chopin under 2 minutes.
I do like that, yeah, great.
Hey, tell me, how do you think classical music is going in the future? What is the future looking like for classical music, do you think?
Yeah, look, I think classical music has a fantastic way of adapting, and people wouldn't be aware of that, or naturally be aware of that, or think that when they think of classical music. They think of Bach and Beethoven and Mozart, quite old things steeped in those traditions. But new works are coming out that are considered classical music, and I think there's a good trajectory for classical music as long as we're constantly engaging with the community, to keep up and get on board. So, for example, not to plug myself, but Illawarra and Pointe Productions, our orchestral concerts are very engaging, very friendly, very fun. We also commission new Australian works that fit that model of classical music to really engage and inspire and cultivate the next generation of classical music.
Can you give me a bit of an idea of some new emerging classical composers that you're sort of into at the moment that we may not have heard of before?
Oh well, look, I'll be really biased here, but Will Yaxley, who I was a colleague of mine during my time at the Sydney Conservatorium. He and I graduated around the same time. He is a phenomenal composer who writes a lot of choral pieces at the moment, but he actually wrote a ballet for us last year called Peter Pan. So he wrote the entire orchestral score for full symphony orchestra and a choir, and that was incredibly beautiful music, and extended techniques and things like that. And he's one of the composers that I'd be looking out for.
Now, where's he from? Do you know?
Sydney, based in Sydney.
Okay, right. And is it just sort of show tunes or theatre productions that he's composing this classical music for?
No. So for us, he composed a ballet piece, and then he also composes specifically for choral societies and choral festivals and events like that.
Now, when do you actually start your new position?
October. So we'll officially meet in October, and we'll go from there.
And do you have to sort of undergo any training at all, or do you sort of have to?
There'll be a bunch of paperwork to read.
Yeah, wow.
So I'll be looking forward to that. But that's all part of the job.
Now, tell me before I let you go about this latest production you've got from Illawarra on Pointe Productions, because it sounds very, very interesting. Yeah,
so it's called Symphonic Epics. It's a little orchestral concert. We do a couple every year, and they're just, like I said, they're very engaging and very fun and audience friendly. We basically say, if you like orchestral music, you have to come. It's one of those concerts that are just great. You have to come. But also, if you don't like orchestral music or symphonies, or you've never been, you've also got to come to this. Essentially, it's made for everyone. So Symphonic Epics will run Saturday the 12th of October, 7 p.m. at the Wollongong Art Gallery, and then Sunday the 13th of October at 1 p.m. at the Bowral Memorial Hall. And those concerts are short, an hour and a half. We're doing a bunch of epic orchestral music, so music from Ben-Hur, Rimsky-Korsakov, Scheherazade, and then we're also announcing our 2020 ballet, which is very exciting. And we're also performing an original work called The Trombone Ranger, which is dedicated to, some of your listeners might know, the local trombone extraordinaire Max Crute. He had a 90th birthday this year, and so we'll be playing a piece in dedication to him. Oh,
so now so when are you debuting this piece?
This will be debuted at our Symphonic Epics concert, Saturday 12th of October and Sunday 13th of October.
Right. I wonder if there's any chance that Tuesday Drive could get a copy of it afterwards it's been performed.
I think we'll have to organise something for you.
Oh, excellent! Because that must admit, it does sound pretty cool. Hey, before I let you go, when it comes to these epics, what's your favourite?
Epic orchestral music.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good question. I think you can't go past the finale from Saint Saëns organ symphony. That's pretty epic. But Scheherazade, which is why we're doing it in October, Scheherazade, all four movements are pretty epic as well.
Okay. All right. Well, look, thank you so much for having a chat with us today, Ryley, and congratulations on the new role.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And break a leg.
Cheers.
I think that's what you say to an artist who's about to engage on a symphonic epics. That was Ryley Gillen. He's the artistic director of Illawarra on Pointe Productions and one of the newest members of the Classical Music Advisory Board for Create New South Wales, and we certainly wish him all the best. And if you missed that part of the interview or you'd like to hear it again or think someone may be interested in it, then keep your eye on the Tuesday Drive and Triple UFM Facebook page over the next couple of days as I'll pop the interview up. Now, I was going to play a song from the Goo Goo Dolls, but I thought in light of what we've just been chatting about with Ryley, I've actually been very, very lucky, and I've actually got a whole of this piece of music that was composed by Will Yaxley. Now, you may not have heard it before, so here it is for you. It is the Overture. How cool was that? That was called the Overture to Flight to Neverland, which, as you heard Ryley mention before, was composed by Will Yaxley as a part of Illawarra on Pointe Productions' 2018 ballet Peter Pan. Now, if you are interested in hearing some wonderful music of these symphonic epics, it runs from the 12th to 13th of October. So Saturday the 12th at the Wollongong Art Gallery, and then Sunday up at the Bowral Memorial Hall. And as you heard Ryley mention as well, you're going to hear a piece called the Trombone Ranger, which is actually dedicated to our local trombonist Max Crute. And they'll also announce their 2020 ballet as well. So like I said, you heard it here on Tuesday Drive. We've put our hands up, and we're definitely going to put first dibs on that piece of music, the Trombone Ranger. It's 13 minutes to 6. Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsors.
Triple UFM.